of you don't know, I live in Sammamish, which is pretty much Microsoft territory right next to Redmond. And even though the Seattle area is known notoriously for its rain, I think today's rain has a very special meaning. It's been sad, grizzly, and rainy all day. I think it's the greater Seattle area's way of mourning the passing of a titan. But, you know, this reminds me of a story I'd like to share with you. And we're starting. I recently came across this article by a gentleman and a scholar, David Pogue, in the house, from actually a long time ago. It's called It's a Wonderful Machine, the sweetest movie Frank Capra never made. Guess who it's about? I guess I shouldn't have gone to a party where the eggnog was spiked, and maybe I shouldn't have watched the movie It's a Wonderful Life while leafing through Mac Week. But anyway, I had the weirdest dream last night, a bizarre black and white movie that went like this. Jimmy Stewart stars as Steve Jobs Bailey, who runs a beleaguered, don't know that name, sorry, but beloved small-town computer company. For years, big monopolist Bill Gates Potter has been wielding his power and money to gain control of the town. And for years, Steve has fought for survival. This town needs my measly one-horse computer, if only to have something for the people to use instead of Windows. But now, an angry mob is banging on Apple's front door, panicking. The press says your company is doomed, one man yelled. You killed the clones. We're going to Windows, calls another. We want out of our investment, they shout. Steve, a master showman, calms them. Don't do it. If Potter gets control of the desktop, you'll be forced to buy his bloatware and pay for his cruddy upgrades forever. That's a really long time, by the way. We can get through this, but we've got to have faith and stick together. The crowd decides to give him one more chance. But the day before Christmas, something terrible happens. On his way to the bank, the company's financial man, Uncle Gilly, somehow manages to lose $1.7 billion. And today, it's much more than that. With eyes flashing, Steve grabs the befuddled Gilly by the lapels. Where's the money, you stupid old fool? Don't you realize what this means? It means bankruptcy and scandal. Get out of my company and don't come back. Desperate and afraid, Steve heads out to Martini's, a local internet cafe, and drowns his sorrows in an iced cappuccino. Surfing the web at one of the cafe's Macs, all he finds online is second-guessing, sniping by critics, and terrible market share numbers. As a blizzard rages, Steve drives his car crazily toward the river. Oh, what's the use, he exclaims. We've lost the war, Windows rules the world, and everything I've worked for, the Mac is going to be obliterated. Think of all the passion and effort the last 15 years. Wasted! Think of the billions of dollars, hundreds of companies, millions of people. He stands on the bridge, staring at the freezing, roiling river below, and finally hurls himself over the railing. After a moment of floundering in the chilly water, however, he's pulled to safety by a bulbous-nosed oddball. Who are you? Steve sputters angrily. Name's Clarence. I mean Clarice. Okay, I can't do that voice, says the guy. I'm your guardian angel. Maybe I will. I've been sent down to help you. It's my last chance to earn my wings. Nobody can help me, says Steve bitterly. Even if I hadn't created the Mac, everybody'd be a lot happier. Mr. Potter, the media, even our customers. Heck, we'd all be better if the Mac had never been invented at all. Music swirls, the wind howls. The tattoo on Steve's right buttocks. Buzz Lightyear from Toy Story. I could see that. Vanishes. It's gone. Steve pats the empty pocket where he usually carries his Newton. Gonna replace that with iPhone. What gives? You've got your wish, says Clarice. You've never invented the Mac. It never existed. You haven't a care in the world. Look, little fella, go off and haunt someone else, Steve mutters. He heads over to Martini's internet cafe for a good stiff drink, but he's shocked at the difference inside. Oh my gosh, look at the people using these computers. Both of them, they look like math professors. They are, says Clarice. What is this, a museum? It looks like these computers are running DOS. Good eye, says Clarice. DOS version 25.1, in fact, the very latest. I don't get it, Steve says. DOS is a lot better and faster these days, but it hasn't occurred to anybody to market a computer with icons and menus yet. There's no such thing as Windows after all. There never was a Mac interface for Microsoft to copy. But this equipment is ancient, Steve explains. No sound, no CD-ROM drive, not even a 3.5-inch floppies. Those aren't antiques, Clarice says. They're state-of-the-art compacts, complete with the latest 12x 5-inch floppy drives. Don't forget, Steve, the Mac introduced and standardized all the good stuff you named. But that's nuts, Steve explodes. You mean to tell me that 46% of American households with computers are all using DOS? Correction, all 9% of American households, says Clarice cheerfully. Without a graphic interface, computers are still too complicated to be popular. Bartender, shouts Steve. You don't have a copy of Wired here, do you? I've got to read up on this crazy reality. Bartender glares. I don't know what you're wired on, pal, but either stop talking crazy or get out of my shop. No such thing as Wired? Whispers Clarice. Oh, sorry. No such thing as Wired, whispers Clarice. Never was. Before you wished the Mac away, most magazines were produced entirely on the Mac. Besides, Wired would be awfully thin without the web. Without the... now, wait just a minute. Horrified, Steve rushes over to one of the PCs and connects to the internet. You call this the net? It looks like a text-only BBS. And there's practically nobody online. Where's Navigator? Where's Internet Explorer? Where's the web, for Pete's sake? Oh, I see, smiles Clarice sympathetically. You must be referring to all those technologies that spun off from the concept of a graphic interface. Look, Steve, until the Mac made the mouse standard, there was no such thing as point and click. Without clicking, there could be no web and no web companies. Believe it or not, Mark Anderson works in a Burger King in Cincinnati. Steve scoffs. Well, look. If you applied that logic, then PageMaker wouldn't exist either. Photoshop? Illustrator, Freehand, America Online, digital movies? That stuff all began on the Mac. Now you're getting it, says Clarice. He holds up a copy of Time magazine. Check out the cover price. Stephen gasps. $8? They've got a lot of nerve. Labor costs. They're still pasting type onto master pages with hot wax. You're crazy, screams Steve. I'm not going back to my office at Apple. I am going back to my office at Apple. He drives like a madman back to Cupertino. But the sign that greets him there doesn't say welcome to Apple. It says, welcome to Microsoft South. Sorry, Steve. Apple went out of business in 1985, says Clarice. You see, you really did have a wonderful machine. See what a mistake it was to wish it away? Steve is sobbing, barely listening. Okay. Then I'll go back to my office at Pixar. You don't have an office at Pixar, Clarice reminds him. There was no Mac to make you rich enough to buy Pixar. Steve has had enough. He rushes desperately back to the icy bridge over the river. Please, God, bring it back. I don't care about market share, please. I want the Mac to live again. Music, wind, heavenly noises. Snow begins to softly fall. Hey, Steve, are you all right? Calls out Steve's friend Larry from a passing helicopter. Steve pats his pocket. The iPhone is there again. It's all back. Steve runs through the town, delirious with joy. Merry Christmas, Wired. Merry Christmas, Internet. Merry Christmas, wonderful old Microsoft. And now, his office is filled with smiling people whose lives the Mac has touched. There's old Mr. Chiat Day, the ad man. I'm not sure he's that. There's Yanni the musician, and there's Mr. Spielberg the movie maker. As the Apple board starts signing Auld Lang Syne, somebody boots up a Power Mac. You know what they say, he tells the crowd. Every time you hear a startup chime, an angel just got his wings. So, geez, a touching story, you know. Not only that, but also update it, you know, with the iPhone, the iPod, and the iPad. We'll go ahead and throw in the MacBook Air as well. That's a lot. So, thanks, Steve. I really appreciate it. See you around, buddy.